Welcome to the Geek Easy. Sit back, grab a libation of your choice, and relax, 'cause it's time to do some geek stuff in the Geek Easy. Welcome to the Geek Easy, fellow geeks. Grab a beverage of your choice, because today we will be reviewing Night Fever, written by Ed Brubaker, drawn by Sean Phillips, and published by Image Comics. Spoiler alert, wow, it was good. Okay, so this thing kind of asks a question in the overall arc of the story. Who is in control? Your conscious or your subconscious? Because, they say, there's the Jonathan Webb, the main character in there, he talks about that a little bit. He said he was talking to a psychologist that he knew who said that your conscious mind makes up stories to explain why your subconscious made you do what you did. And there's also, like, if you get blacked out drunk, who's in control? I mean, you're obviously not asleep. You're conscious enough and walking around. The reason why this is a question in this story is, you have Jonathan Webb. He's an editor. Works for a publishing company, and he usually goes over to Europe to talk to overseas, writers and all this stuff. He's been doing it for 20 years. It's at a point where he's just kind of operating on remote control. And he's, he goes to these conferences and he's bored. He's just, he's just not digging it. And, on the flight over, he starts to read this story, and he kind of describes how he normally does it. He used to read all of them, but as time went on, he'd read the first little bit of it and then the end, and he'd basically get the gist of it and say, boom, and he'd get it and knew whether he wanted to do it or not, and then he'd sleep the rest of the trip. But the story that he was reading on this one, it described a dream in this book. So he started reading, and it was a dream that he had, and he's like, wait a minute, how does this guy know my dream? It's kind of a disturbing dream about that. And so it just got him thinking, keeping awake, and he couldn't sleep. Gets to his hotel room, couldn't sleep. Goes to the conference all day, and then that night he couldn't sleep again. So he's in France, and then he decides to go out and try and get some drugs, like, not, I guess, the hardcore stuff, just some stuff to put himself to sleep, because you can get that over the counter there without a prescription. Then it's too late in the night. It's after midnight. He lost track of time, so he goes out looking for a place to get the harder stuff, and follows this couple in masquerade masks into this place, and it's a kind of a party, and he's like, you have to have a name, and he says, oh yeah, that's me, that's Griffin. And he's allowed in, and that's when all hell breaks loose, because he sort of becomes a different person, because he's pretending to be this other person. He's like, I can do some of the stuff that I've always wanted to do. you know, he had his money, starts winning all his money, and just and you find out why he's doing that, because when he was a kid, he had a friend who was just that type of guy. I think we might have all had friends like this that just made everything look so effortless. He'd kind of make these grand proclamations and just say stuff, and everyone would want to be around him or be with him, or all the girls would love him. And he had a friend like that, and then he meets a guy like that at the party, and that's when they start going and doing stuff together, and it just kind of and it spirals around into some weird shit. So like what always happens in his books. And you sort of get him. It's like, which person is he? Is he the man that's married for a long time with 2 kids who really loves his wife and is just kind of falling into a rut, or is he this new person that he's pretending to be, and all this other stuff, and while he's going through all these adventures, and I mean, I just love how all these things work. I mean, how he writes the stories. You really don't. I don't even try to follow his stories. I mean, not try to follow, but guess where his stories are going anymore, because you can't do it. I mean, it's if you think you know where it's going, more than likely you'll be wrong. So I just sit back and enjoy the ride, because it is a ride, and this one is no exception. And then we still have that's just all these wonderful art that Sean Phillips does, that just it takes it into this different world. It's just, it sets the mood and just realizes that things are just not quite the way they seem. And I think that's the one of the reasons for the art this way. And it's just, it works so well combined with the story that Ed Brubaker writes. And I think they deserve every word that they've gotten. So this is a 5.0 story. It's awesome. So I say pick it up. It's worth the read. Probably worth a reread or two, so you can catch more. I think with his stuff you can read it once or twice, 3 times, and still get new stuff out of it. So I'm going to recommend this book. Give it a 5.0 and say it's really worth the risk. Anyway, let me know if you've read it, what you thought of it, and like, subscribe. Most of all, enjoy your Ed Brubaker books.